fountain Stravinsky was made in 1983 by Jean Tinguely and Nikit Saint-Phal. It is composed of 16 sculptures made of stainless steel and plastics. It is placed in Paris at the Place Stravinsky. Tinguely never stopped working even in his old age. In the 80s, working with his wife, he created the La Fontaine Stravinsky. The fountain represents the works of composer Igor Stravinsky. Actually, it was part of a larger sculptural program launched by the city of Paris in 1978 to build 7 contemporary fountains with sculpture in different squares of Paris. In October 1981, the mayor of Paris, Jacques Chirac, announced that a new fountain would be built near the Centre Pompidou and announced that Jean Tinguely and Nikit Saint-Phal had been selected to design the fountain. The city of Paris paid 2 million French francs for the project. Project originally been given to Jean Tinguely alone, and therefore the work would have been entirely composed of his black-painted mechanical sculptures. But in May 1982, he asked that brightly colored works by Nikit Saint-Phal also be included. Because of the offices and rooms below, the fountain was designed to be as light as possible, with very shallow water, a bottom of stainless steel, and sculptures composed of plastics and other light materials. By building a fountain's few technical issues also needed to be resolved. Tinguely did not want the water treated and preferred that most be allowed to grow. Tinguely also wanted to use very low power electric motors for the fountains to avoid any danger of electrocuting people waiting in the fountains. The sculptures were not attached to the bottom of the basin, but simply placed there. His concept. Tinguely's work is about the place of humanity in the world. It is maybe a critical of the society of the 50s, 70s, perpetually in motion, but never moving forward. It is also about the purpose of art and its role in museum. It tries to bring noise, vitality movement, and life to this quiet place. He wants to create a link between his work, his piece of art, and the spectator. He decries the hilarity and sadness of the race of progress. One day, a journalist asked him,
"Are you an engineer or an artist?"
And Jean said,
"I am a poet. Poetry, that's life. The word art is bullshit."
Jean Tinguely was associated with movement Nouveau Réalisme. This term, New Realism, was first used in May 1960 by this movement founder Pierre Restany. Born with the Second World War, it's a new way of perceiving the real. Pierre Restany said about the New Realists movement,
New Realism defines a general orientation, a state of mind, a precise expression of phenomenology. It's an appropriate partiality, a point of view, a more immediate position of expressiveness, more sociological, more realistic.
Nouveau Realists group tend to see the world as an image from which they could take parts and incorporate them into their works, as they thought
bring life
and art closer together. They declared that they had to come together on the basis of a new and real awareness of their collective singularity. Nouveau Realists advocated a return to reality in opposition to the lyrism of abstractions. Still, they want to avoid what they saw as the traps of figurative art. But for all the diversity of their plastic language, as the New Realism founder Pierre Restany said, poetic recycling of urban, industrial, and advertising reality. We can mention as New Realism member Armand with this accumulation or scissors compression, the affichistes like
Raymond
Hans and
and Jacques
Jacques
Villeray.
Villeray. And with a similar reflection, we can also mention Marcel Duchamp, Niki Tsanfal, Eva Epli, Bernard Ludjumbu, Alexandre Calder, Nicolas Schoeffler et Gérard Deschamps. Jean Tinguely cast a spell over the public with his works his entire life. His poetic machines and moving sculpture have fascinated people all over the world. His courageous life inspired an entire generation. A documentary movie called Tinguely has been made by Thomas Toumena. Thomas Toumena created and filmed a documentary movie about Tinguely's works and life. Everything is in motion. Inertia doesn't exist. Barely 20 years after his death, the band agent remembers the artist and his time. Music for Tinguely consists of 2 pieces commissioned for the Jean Tinguely exhibition. In Garzak's pieces, Tinguely solo was created for the opening ceremony of the exhibition on April 16 of 2009 by using a grand casa, percussion, shruti box and drum commander mixed together with sounds from the meta sculpture by Jean Tinguely. Andreas Milan's piece The Future as We Know It, presented at the Henny Onstad Art Center in 2009, as part of a concert day together with the bands in the country and Golden Serenades. All the source material for Milan's piece was recorded on site in the Jean Tinguely exhibition.
In the specialist opinion, Tinguely's machines were poorly built. He was not an engineer, but Tinguely was fond of mechanic and engine and had this ability to catch the viewer attention and create a dialogue between the audience and daily objects diverted from their usual function. The machine works and becomes art. Tinguely's works are full of humor, vitality, irony and poetry. But when we push the analysis of his art further, it also reveals tragical, comical and inscrutable thoughts. Perhaps that's why Tinguely has been highly recognized and were able to enjoy such fame, of which many other artists could only dream of. Tinguely expresses multiple messages with his art. He questioned academicism of the art with the meta-series. He criticized the post-war society and consumerism by creating useless machines from already used objects. He is aware of the flaw of his machine and built them this way to show his disapproval of the industrial and economical system created during the 1815. He tries to show with machine that self-destructed after functioning 30 minutes, but evening eventually ends.
My machines are getting slower and slower. There is a kind of paralysis of the machines that was not there before. I'm getting old. My bones and skin don't move as fast as it's used to. My machine have the same problem. Resist the frightening weak to stop the movement, the prettifying moments and kill the living. Stop always reaffirm values crumbling anyway. Be free, live and stop paint over time. Drop the constriction of cathedral and pyramids crumbling still like maps. Breathe deeply. Enjoy no life in and on the time for a full and beautiful reality.